welcome to the Access Gamma and Access thankQ CRM integration video. Today we're going to be covering the key touch points of integration between the Gamma ticketing and EPOS solution and the thankQ CRM solution. We'll start by exploring the different pieces of data that exchange between the systems and which bits go both ways and which bits one way, and then we're going to explore some different scenarios in which Gamma will pass that data over to thankQ and vice versa. On the left hand side we have Gamma and on the right thankQ. The top three options, contacts, consent and memberships, have an arrow both directions, and that's to represent the fact that the data feeds both ways through the systems. So where we update any of contacts, consent or memberships in Gamma, this will update in thankQ, and the same for if we update them in thankQ, it will make those changes in Gamma. However, data relating to visits, transactions, gift aid and communications is captured in Gamma and fed through to thankQ, but any communications and gift aids which occur in thankQ aren't fed back to Gamma because as the EPOS and ticketing system, it's not considered required. We're now going to explore two different scenarios relating to the integration. The first of these is how we capture data at EPOS in Gamma, and then how that feeds through Gamma into thankQ CRM and how we can continue that customer journey. So the scenario that we're exploring will be focusing on a contact providing their details at front of house. This then feeds through, of course, into the back office part of the Gamma system, which then sends via the API the relevant contact membership details into thankQ CRM. And this could then be followed up, as we'll talk through during the scenario, into bulk email communications to then re-engage your contact. So we're now going to move to look over at Gamma and follow this through in the scenario. So from the EPOS screen, your user will select membership. And in this case, our customer has chosen to buy an adult membership and the associated entry to the venue with that. So we process the sale as we would as normal, and it presents us with the membership details screen, at which point we can then type in the postcode from our visitor. In this case, we're going with a London postcode, and if you've got postcode lookup, we could find the address. In this case, I'm going to fill it in manually, and we're going to capture a house number, name, and this is going to be Miss Jo Walters on Marriott Street, and we'll just make up a fictional town in London that we can then use. The next part here is consent. So in capturing consent through front of house, we're going to select that. We're going to fill in an email and a telephone so that when we move on to the next stage, as we'll see shortly, we'll see how that consent actually filters through. So I'm just going to finish typing this phone number. And from there, we can see we could mark this as a gift purchase. We can capture an image to go on a membership card. But for now, I'm just going to move on to continue by selecting the confirm button. From here, it's simply a case of choosing which different methods we want to consent to. Now, it's important to note that the consents here are just relating generally to perhaps newsletter for regular updates. So now that we've confirmed that, we've created our membership. We could move on to signing up for gift aid. I'm going to select no for now. And all we need to do then is actually complete the process by paying off the membership. And I'm going to do so using cash in this case. So we will take that, enter, and process the sale. And that now has us having created Miss Jo Walters as a new member. We've created that membership entry to the venue. And we're now going to move on to have a look in thankQ. So we're now in thankQ CRM on the dashboard login page. So from here, I simply want to come through to CRM and from the ribbon bar, choose contacts. Now you'll remember that the contact we created through EPOS was Jo Walters. So we're going to find Jo Walters' record. And just while we're doing that, I do want to point out that we do have the ability for a validation step when you're bringing the data through from thankQ into Gamma, which allows you, where it's an existing contact, to choose which bits of information to update and overwrite, and where it's a new contact to ensure that you're creating a record and you've run it through any deduplication checks that you may have changed. So we can see here that we've got our contact, Miss Jo Walters. Down at the bottom we've got an address for her, and on the right the email address and the telephone. If I come through to the membership tab, we'll see that we've now got an active individual membership, and that's actually for 2018 on the individual membership that she bought, and that membership start date is today, and we've got our expiry date in a year's time. The other piece of information to show you quickly is on the Contact Preferences tab, we've got our consent that we gave for sending letters, emails and post, and that's modified today and expires, we've set in this case, in 2 years' time. And on the Gamma tab, we can see here that we had our individual membership that was purchased from our Glasgow till using cash, and that's on today's date. All of this information is then searchable and reportable for you to be able to send bulk email follow-up campaigns based on the different rules that your users have or have not met. We're now going to look at a second integration scenario between Access Gamma and Access thankQ CRM. So in this case, we're going to look at the online customer journey. So this is where a contact, could be new, could be existing, comes to an online booking page, whether using the Gamma Bookings API or the Gamma Bookings portal. In this case, we're going to be looking at the portal, which then feeds through to your Gamma database. Again, the data from there then feeds through to thankQ CRM. And from there, as mentioned in the last scenario, we could use the data within thankQ CRM to create a bulk email marketing campaign to start targeting our contacts in more focused ways. So we're now going to start by looking at a sample Gamma Bookings portal and follow the journey from there. So at this point, we're going to select our ticket quantity and move on to the next step along our portal. Now, just to remind you, this is a demo portal. You have the ability to take this portal, or of course the alternative, the API. And in the case of this portal, you can customize the images and some of the look and feel around it. I've just selected my date, and then we'll move on to the next step. Once we've loaded onto the next step, we're then going to be presented with our availability. Now, we can have a number of different tickets relating to this event booking, but for now I'm just going to choose my day visits, and again let's move on to the next step. We click the link to move over, and then that's going to load up for us our confirmation screen. And on that confirmation screen we could choose to add another booking, or in this case I'm going to proceed straight to the checkout to fill in my contact details. Now, when we come through to here, we do have the option of logging in as a returning customer, but in this case I'm going to be a new customer so that we can see that being created in thankQ CRM. So the first thing I need to do is fill in my email address. So in this case I'm going to be Chris Welsh. So I input the email address and then I'm just going to fill in the second one. We then need to do, as we've done at the front of house, fill in those contact detail and name fields, including a physical address, and we'll also, a bit further down, be filling in the postcode. We're going to have a telephone number that we'll put in a moment as well, and that's going to populate for us our contact details that we will see when we move over to look at thankQ CRM. So I'm just going to finish putting in the phone number now, and then you're going to see it's prompting us for the payment details as I scroll down the screen. And from here we just need to fill those in to select actually the name of the card holder, the card type details, and so on and so forth. Now, just while I'm filling those in, I want to point out to you the tick box at the top linking to the mailing list. This would then create a connection which we can feed over to thankQ to say that a particular contact would like to receive this particular communication. I'm now at the end, so I've got my confirmed details screen, and we're going to move over to thankQ CRM. So as we did before, we come to our thankQ screen on our dashboard, and from there we simply come to CRM and we select contacts on the ribbon bar. And this time we're going to have a look for the contact we created through our web booking, and that is Mr. Chris Welsh. Now, if you remember, we made the booking on one date, but the visit was set for an alternative date. So what we're looking to see here is that we've got our address created, we've got an email and telephone number come through, we've got a primary category simply of general visitor, we've got no details against the membership, but what we do have is against the Gamma tab are £11.85 paid by the MasterCard details that we filled in for our day visit, and that's at the Glasgow location. And we can also see that we have a transaction date against the Gamma sale, and on the Gamma visit on the row below in the left hand column we then have our visit date of the 26th. And again, we can use this data to search and report on which of our contacts are attending different events versus those who have clicked a booking link online, and all sorts of other different criteria that we store across the database. Many thanks for taking the time to watch our Access Gamma and Access thankQ CRM integration videos, and if you do have any follow-up questions, please do get in touch.